Lastly, we're going to talk about carbonated cocktails. Those are the ones that are typically topped with soda, ginger beer, or have any other fizzy element in their recipe. Think Patron Paloma as a perfect example. For the still cocktails, we were using nitrogen or gas blend. In this case, we will be using CO2, and so we will need a CO2 tank, CO2 regulator wrench, 4 screw clamps, gas with a quick disconnect, carbonation lid with diffusion stone, optional, beverage line with quick disconnect, dispensing faucet, periodic flow regulator is recommended, Phillips and flathead screwdriver. First, let's connect the gas line to the CO2 regulator. Push the tube all the way up to the beginning of the thread, use a screw clamp to secure connection. Connect the gas quick disconnect to the other side of the gas line and secure it with a screw clamp as well. Now let's connect the CO2 tank with the regulator. Make sure that both the tank and the regulator are on the off position. You will tighten the seal with the CO2 regulator wrench. Don't forget that there should be a small rubber gasket in between. It is important to know that gas leaks are very common and can occur if the connections are not sealed properly or the equipment has fault. You can check that by dipping the gas line into the water or using special leak detecting solution. Our gas source is all connected and ready to go. Before filling the carbonated keg, follow these rules to achieve better results. Make sure not use the fruit purees, dairy or other ingredients that can clog the system. All the citrus juices must be fine-strained and free of pulp. A critical part of successful carbonation cocktail on tap is the ABV of the drink. You should have final diluted recipe between 4.5 and 5.4 ABV. Higher alcohol percentage will resist gas absorption, meaning your cocktail will come out fizzy but will instantly lose its carbonation. Before kegging, the cocktail should be cooled down for several hours. CO2 dissolves much better in cold liquids. The total batch of the cocktail should yield enough volume to fill the keg, leaving up to 10% of the headspace. The batch should include water dilution anywhere from 10 to 20% depending on the cocktail. If the drink has carbonated water as a part of the recipe, it should also be used a dilution element opposite to the plain water. If aromatic or any other bitters are used, scale down to about 0.5% of the normal amount. CO2 contributes carbonic acid to the drink. With that in mind, the sweetening part of the recipe should be adjusted up to 5 or 10%. Cocktails in a carbonated keg can be carbonated several different ways. Keep in mind that all the methods of carbonating assume that the adjustable pressure CO2 regulator is being used and the cocktail batch is cold, as CO2 is more readily absorbed in cold liquids. Carbonation times may vary depending on the style of the cocktail, density of the liquid, and the method used to carbonate. It is always a good idea to test cocktail frequently to make sure the carbonation level is right for you. Most common way to accelerate the absorption of CO2 in the liquid is to shake the keg that has pressure in its headspace. Shaking the keg creates more liquid surface area for the CO2 to hit, thus cutting the amount of the time it takes for the cocktail to absorb the CO2. When using this method, the cocktail needs to be as cold as possible. First, start with the regulator turned up high to about 25 to 30 psi. Next, attach the gas in quick disconnect and let the gas flow in until you hear the flow stop. Release the pressure by pulling the valve and let the gas inject again. Once the gas flow has stopped, unattach the gas in quick disconnect and shake the keg. You can shake the keg by picking it up by the handles and shaking it, rolling on its side and so on. Last, shake the keg for a minute or more and then reattach the gas in a quick disconnect. You will most likely hear the gas flowing through it again. Repeat the steps as necessary. Test your cocktail by pouring small sample glasses after you have repeated these steps a few times and every couple of minutes after that until desired carbonation level is reached. Another way of carbonating is similar to the nitrogenating method that we have used. With the diffusion stone attached to the keg lid, start out with your regulator set at 1 to 2 psi. Hook your gas into the keg and let it sit for approximately 3 to 5 minutes. Continue to raise the pressure 1 to 2 psi until 4 or 5 psi above the desired pressure is reached, resting 3 to 5 minutes in between the increases. The best results, however, is achieved by carbonation via saturation over time. The principle of this method is simple. If you leave constant pressure on the cocktail in the keg, it will absorb the CO2 until the pressure pushing down on the cocktail equals the internal pressure of the gas dissolved in the liquid. Depending on the temperature and final gravity of the cocktail, it will usually take an average of several days to stabilize. This is the slowest method, but the most consistent method of carbonating. Hook the gas in quick disconnect to the gas in body connect and turn the gas on. Adjust your regulator to the desired psi, usually about 15, and let the cocktail sit at this pressure for 2 to 3 days. Taste your cocktail periodically to define if the level of carbonation achieved is the desired one. To serve your carbonated cocktail out of the keg, first set your psi to the desired serving level, which is usually 12 to 15 psi, but depends on elevation. Second, attach the liquid out quick disconnect to the liquid out body connect. Third, open the faucet and pour. Last, if you are using a faucet with a flow control regulator, adjust the flow to desired. Flow control regularly prevents excess forming of the cocktail when it's overly carbonated.